Hello everyone, my name is GripTashV. In this video, I'd like to share with you 4 Rust building tricks that will help you get the most out of your base designs. The first trick is what I call the storage L. It lets you fit 8 large boxes worth of loot into a single square. Start by placing a floor tile at half height, then place a wall frame at the entrance, and socket a garage door into the wall frame. Next, enter the square, and place a barbecue endwise along a side wall. Place it as close to the entrance as you can. The wall frame will stop you from going too far. Once you've managed to find the right spot for that barbecue, place 2 more as close as you can between that one and the back wall. Then place small boxes underneath, again, starting as close as you can to the entrance. Exit the square and place a barbecue along the back wall, just like you did along the side wall the first time. Only this time, you're going to get it as close to the opposite side wall as you can. Then place another barbecue next to it. The space for that second barbecue will be pretty tight, so you have to get it just right. After that, place boxes under those barbecues, again, starting as close to the side wall as you can. This is important because the boxes won't take up nearly as much room as the 2 barbecues, and that gives you access to the box and the barbecue that are in the corner. You may need to move forward and backwards a little bit in order to place the second box as close as you can to the first one, since the leg of the barbecue sticking down may interfere with placement. If you place them at a slight angle underneath the barbecues, that's okay too. Finally, make sure that you can place items into every one of the boxes and barbecues. It's a little tedious, but it means that you won't have to redo anything later if you mess something up. When attempting to access the barbecue and box in the corner specifically, you may end up hitting another one instead. Don't assume that you placed it wrong or that you can't get to it. Keep trying and make sure that you've got your cursor in the exact right place to access it. After placing all the barbecues and boxes on the lower level, repeat the same process on the upper level. Note that placing the last 2 barbecues and boxes on that upper level can be a little tricky unless you give yourself a twig platform to work from. This is because you have to be outside the square for best results. It's okay if you're inside the square when you place the barbecues and boxes, but it's just a little bit easier to mess it up. You can't get them quite as tight to the side wall when you're inside the square. You might have to use a slight angle to do it. Once again, verify that you can place items into all the barbecues and boxes, including the ones in the corner, and then after that, break your twig support that you used for placement, and you're good to go. You have the equivalent of 8 large boxes worth of space. Oh, and one final thing. The cost of those barbecues and small boxes is exactly the same as for 8 large boxes. Okay, time for build trick number 2. This is how to find the correct foundation height to use when building a boat base or a submarine base. Start by wading out into the water pretty deep until you can't place a foundation anymore, then swim back in just a little bit. You want to place the foundation where the surface of the water is at the point on those vertical posts of your twig foundation preview, just above where the little angled supports are in the corner. Place a couple of foundations roughly parallel to shore, then move deeper into the water where you couldn't put foundations before, and place a couple foundations at half height below the ones you just put above the water. These ones will be where the boat goes, so the boat can pass over the tops of these foundations without hitting them and be in the water, and then you'll put the garage doors on there. This is your support for that. If you want a submarine, go 1 layer deeper than that still into the water. Now, you may run into issues with the slope. If you do, just keep placing more twig kind of parallel with the shore and see if you can resolve it. If not, you may have to start over. That's okay, it's just twig, but this is a pretty good guide. At least you'll know you'll have them at the right depth. Quick side note, if you're building a submarine base, make sure to leave a full height wall's worth of space above the submarine bay, or you won't be able to get back in the submarine later. Next, fill in as desired with walls, half walls, whatever. The rest of the base is up to you. This is just showing you what you need to do for the storage of the boat and or the submarine. Obviously, you'll need garage doors for this. If you have double doors only, that's not going to work because you won't be able to pass either a boat or a submarine through a double door. Moving on to build trick number 3, placing a refinery inside your base in shallow water. Using a small box as a guide, the handle of that small box should be just above the surface of the water. I'm going to place a square foundation where I want that refinery to go, and it's going to be at the same height that we just used for the boat base example. I'm surrounding it with triangle foundations here, but that's just for demonstration purpose. You could attach it to a real boat base or even a submarine base if you want to. Note that if it's a submarine base, in order to accommodate the depth for the refinery and the depth for the sub, you're probably going to have to go out into the water a little ways. With correct placement, it's even possible to place a storage shelf at half height above the refinery, even before the refinery is placed. Note that placing the refinery can be rather finicky. I highly recommend practicing it on a build server. You may have to move forward and backward, stand up, crouch, tip up or down a little bit. Eventually you'll find the spot, but it can be a bit of a pain at first. The fourth and final build trick I'd like to share is what I call the tuna can ladder. Let's say it's really early in the wipe. You don't have access to a triangle ladder hatch yet. You probably don't even have access to a ladder yet. Well, that's okay. You can still go up and down inside a single triangular column by using a series of tuna can lamps placed at just the right height. Not only can you jump all the way up, but they'll break your fall on the way down. It's pretty tricky to get the placement just right, so I'd recommend practicing on a build server first. Luckily though, when you're trying this on a live server, there's really nothing to worry about. You could pick up the tuna can lamps and they won't suffer any damage. So if you don't get it right the first time, keep trying until you find a spot that works. I hope you found at least one of those tricks useful. See you in the next video.